This is the correct word to use. People use other words. The adab is expecting. And in Urdu, the adab is ummeed yafta. People use other words. That isn't adab and etiquette. Adab and etiquette is expecting, and in Urdu, ummeed yafta. You understand? Al-isharatu tukfi lil-aqil. Isharas are enough for intelligent people. So now she gives birth to a child. This child is called Sham'un or Shamwel, alayhi salatu wassalam. He goes on to become a Nabi. And later on, in the end time of his Nabuwah, they said to him, إِذْ قَالُوا لِنَبِيٍّ لَهُمْ, when they said to their Nabi, إِبْعَثْ لَنَا مَلِكًا, give us a king, نُقَاتِلْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ, we want to fight in Allah's path. قَالَ هَلْ عَسَيْتُمْ إِن كُتِبَ عَلَيْكُمُ الْقِتَالُ أَلَّا تُقَاتِلُوا. They said, once Allah writes that you have to fight, then you have to fight, then don't back out then. قَالُوا وَمَا لَنَا أَلَّا نُقَاتِلَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Why should we not fight in the path of Allah? وَقَدْ أُخْرِجْنَا مِنْ دِيَارِنَا وَأَبْنَائِنَا. We have been ousted and kicked out of our homes and our families, and our children have been expelled. فَلَمَّا كُتِبَ عَلَيْهِمُ الْقِتَالُ تَوَلَّوْا إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِّنْهُمْ. When qital and when battle was prescribed on them, they turned back and they left besides a few. وَاللَّهُ عَلِيمٌ بِالظَّالِمِينَ. And Allah knows who the oppressors were. وقال لهم نبيهم إن الله قد بعث لكم طالوت ملكا. Allah has sent Talut as your king. Now remember one thing, Talut was not from the family of Yehuda or Lawe. He wasn't from royalty. So now when they saw Talut, he was a pious and a righteous and a really strong man. And they saw him, they said, قالوا أَنَّا يكون له الملك علينا وَنَحْنُ أَحَقُّ بِالْمُلْكِ مِنْهُ وَلَمْ يُؤْتَ سَعَةً مِنَ الْمَالِ. How can he be above us? How can he stand before us? No. How can he have mulkiyah? We are more rightful to have it. He doesn't even have any money. He's nothing in society. And unfortunately, society begins measuring someone. What car do they drive? How many bedroom home do they have? What purse do they have? What phone do they have? What job do they have? We start judging society by their financial attribute. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْظُرُ إِلَى صُوَرِكُمْ وَلَا إِلَى أَجْسَادِكُمْ وَلَكِنْ يَنْظُرُ إِلى قُلُوبِكُمْ وَأَعْمَالِكُم. The Prophet ﷺ says, Allah does not look at your face. Doesn't care how beautiful you are, how strong you are, how much money you have. Allah looks at your heart. You can have all the dunya outside, but if your heart is wretched, then you are a wretched man or a wretched woman. If your heart is rich and you have nothing outside, then you are the richest and you are the best person. Work on this. Make this rich. Everything else someone can take away. No one can take your heart away besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Invest in this heart, make this heart rich, and Allah will put barakah inside it. قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم. He says, indeed, Allah istafa. Istafa comes from the Arabic word Mustafa comes from istafa, which means the chosen one. What was Adam alayhi salam's nickname? Safiyullah, Safaya, the chosen one. People make a mistake and they say Safi. Safi with Sin, Fa-ya means a stupid person. سَيَقُولُ السُّفَهَاءُ مِنَ النَّاسِ مَا وَلَّاهُمْ عَنِ الْقِبْلَةِ. Safi. So don't say Safi, say Safiyullah. Tajweed. एक नुक्ता ही ने हमको महरम से मुजरिम बना दिया. The poet says, एक नुक्ता ही ने, we were महरम, we were family, but one dot made me from mahram. Take the ha, mim, ha, ra, mim. Now on that ha, put a dot underneath. What does it become? Mujrim. And mujrim is a criminal. So the poet says that the difference between mahram, family, and mujrim is only one dot. And that's the reality of life. It's just one situation, one incident that turns us from families to enemies. एक नुक्ता ही ने हमको महरम से मुजरिम बना दिया. One dot Put it on the bottom of the jeen. Now we went from family to enemies.
قال إن الله اصطفاه عليكم, Allah has chosen him, وزاده بسطة في العلم والجسم, and Allah has given him more. Basta means more. في العلم, Allah gave him more knowledge and Allah made him more stronger than you have. That teaches us that the quality of every leader should be knowledge and strength. They should have physical strength, they should be physically active, and they should have knowledge as well. Today, neither do our presidents have knowledge, and neither do they have health.
And that's how you roast in style.
وَاللَّهُ يُؤْتِي مُلْكَهُ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَاللَّهُ وَاسِعٌ عَلِيمٌ. And Allah gives His mulk and His dominion to whomever He wants, and Allah is the one who is wasi', is the grantor, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the knower. وقال لهم نبيهم إن آية ملكه أن يأتيكم التابوت فيه سكينة.
What happened to the taboot? What did I tell you happened to the taboot?
It was lost.
So he says that the sign of his prophethood is that Allah will bring the taboot. Allah will bring the taboot back to you.
فيه سكينة من ربكم.
In it there is peace from your Allah.
وَبَقِيَّةٌ مِّمَّا تَرَكَ آلُ مُوسَى.
And from the remnants of the family of Musa alayhi salam,
وَآلُ هَارُونَ.
and Harun. Who was older, Musa or Harun? Harun was older. Musa alayhi salam was younger.
تَحْمِلُهُ الْمَلَائِكَةُ.
The malaika miraculously brought it in front of them.
إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَةً لَكُمْ إِن كُنتُم مُّؤْمِنِينَ.
Indeed, there is a sign in here if you are believers.
فَلَمَّا فَصَلَ طَالُوتُ بِالْجُنُودِ قَالَ إِنَّ اللَّهَ مُبْتَلِيكُم بِنَهَرٍ.
When Talut went with the army, they say the army was over 80,000 at that time. He says, إِنَّ اللَّهَ مُبْتَلِيكُم بِنَهَرٍ. Allah is testing you with a river.
فَمَنْ شَرِبَ مِنْهُ فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي وَمَنْ لَمْ يَطْعَمْهُ فَإِنَّهُ مِنِّي إِلَّا مَنِ اغْتَرَفَ غُرْفَةً بِيَدِهِ.
Whoever drinks from it, you can't join us. But whosoever takes a sip or less, that is it. So any person who attempted to drink, they drank so much that they got chubby and they became lazy. And he wanted to see the sarhan ka kaun hai or maidan ka kaun hai. You know, did anyone here not speak Urdu? Everyone? One person? Two people? Small little bit. Do you understand some of the words I'm saying or no? None of the words? I'll translate a few of the words here and there so that no one is out of touch. Layla Majnun is the Romeo and Juliet of the Arab world. Right? Nowadays you guys think it's Aladdin and Jasmine. Aladdin is actually Alauddin and Jasmine is Yasmin. And genie is jinni. Really, these are all Islamic terms. I'm not joking. This is true. Aladdin is Alauddin, and Jasmine is actually Yasmin, and genie is jinni. You think about the whole concept. A blue thing comes out and grants you your wishes. It's jinn. Y'all were introduced to jinns while you were so young. Remember I told you? Give someone to something, they don't even realize what's in front of them. Like Facebook and all those things. People have been watching jinn since they were kids. And they didn't even realize it. One of my friends is giving jinn stories. And I was like, man, where'd you get all the jinn? He's like, I just give Aladdin stories. And just make it seem like they're jinn. It's a jinn too, isn't he? And one of the greatest signs of Aladdin being a Muslim is he walks around with a lota. With the stilja bucket. You know, the little lamp that he has. So Layla and Majnu, they are the Romeo and Juliet of the Muslim world. And Majnun was a little creepy, but in those days, creepy was romantic. Pase murdan kate banaye jayenge mere gil ke labe ja bakhsh bhi milinge bose ji bhar ke. Some other time I'll translate this poem. It's a very weird poem, but still.
It shows you how weird people were back in the day. So, since we said the poem, I'll explain it. The poet says, Pase murdan kase banaye jayenge mere gil ke. One day I'm going to die and bowls will be made from me. Labe jaan bakhsh bhi milenge bose ji bhar ke. Then I will finally get a kiss. I said, what do you mean? He said, I love the princess, but there's no way you and I can be together because you're a princess, I'm a pauper. You're Jasmine, I'm Aladdin. So I can't be. And your love, the pain of loving you and not being with you, وَمِنَ الشَّقَاوَةِ أَن تُحِبَّ وَمَن تُحِبَّ يُحِبَّ غَيْرَكَ وَمِنَ الشَّقَاوَةِ أَن تُحِبَّ وَمَن تُحِبَّ يُحِبَّ غَيْرَكَ أو أن تريد خيرا للإنسان وهو يريد غيرك. Imam Shafi'i says in a poem, you know what the worst thing is? You love someone and they love someone else. وَمِنَ الشَّقَاوَةِ, that's the worst. The one that I love loves somebody else. The one I want good for, they want bad for me. So now, he says, I love you, but I can't ever get to you. And one day, your love is going to kill me. And I will die, they will take me, and then they will bury me. And when I'm buried, my bones and my skin and flesh will disintegrate into the dirt. And as time will go on, people will forget about me and even my grave. And a clay maker will come, grab some dirt, make a bowl from the area where I was once dead. They will fill that bowl with gifts and flowers, and they will sell it in the bazaar. And a passerby will come, buy that gift basket, and one day come to the court and present it. And one night, after experiencing all the gifts, you will get thirsty in the middle of the night. And you will grab that bowl and you'll put water and you'll drink it. And finally I'll get my kiss. All that for a kiss. This is poetry of back in the day. This is before all of your Avengers and all of your Game of Thrones and all of that other stuff. This is well before that. So Layla, she was a girl, Majnun, and his name was Imra'ul Qais. He really liked her a lot. So he would come outside and he'd stand outside and, normally that'd be creepy, but obviously as you can tell, that was kind of normal back in the day. That was considered sweet. And he would stand there and he'd say poetry and he'd say, roses are red, violets are blue. God made me beautiful, what happened to you? There's different versions of it. So, she felt bad for him, so she would give him a cup of milk. In those days, a cup of milk was considered like a happy meal, a full-blown, jungly burger. Jimmy's? They have a burger called a jungly burger. Someone said, no, Mufti Sahib, that's jungle burger. I said, I thought it was a jungly burger. Jimmy's didn't pay me for that advertisement. So now, she said not milk because it was like a sustenance, it was food, it was everything, it has nutrition. So now imagine you're getting free milk. In those days, they didn't have much food and water around. So everyone started coming and saying, we're also Majnun. And we're also in love with Layla. So now she's giving the second guy milk, the third, fourth. So how many people are going to give milk? Start a dairy farm over here? So she says, okay, the one who returns the bowl back with their blood will get milk. ताकि पता चले दस्तरखान का कौन है और मैदान का कौन है. She says the one who gives me the bowl back with their blood will know who's really there just for the good times or who's there for the real times. So everyone said, forget that, she's not worth that. So they all left. And one bowl came back with his blood. Oh, Wallah, Allah knows if it's true or not, but many of these stories exist. So from there that phrase was coined. Dastarkhan ka kaun hai, Maidan ka kaun hai. Dastarkhan is the eating mat. And Maidan is the battlefield. So he says, let's find out who is where. فَشَرِبُوا مِنْهُ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا مِنْهُمْ. They all drank besides very few from the 80,000. How many drank? Does anyone know how many drank? Anyone? How many of them stayed with him at the end out of the 80,000? Rafi Abadi knows, mashallah, as always. The hadith of Bukhari Sharif, the Sahaba were asked, how many were with you in Badr? They said the same amount that were with Talut, 313. People ask my phone number. I tell them 313. You from Detroit? I said, no. I got that area code because I like the number 313. Immediately people get excited about that. فَلَمَّا جَاوَزَهُ هُوَ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا مَعَهُ. When they were going and they were traveling, قَالُوا لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا الْيَوْمَ بِجَالُوتَ وَجُنُودِ. Jalut in English is Goliath. Jalut, Goliath. When they saw the army, they said, لَا طَاقَةَ لَنَا الْيَوْمَ. There's no way we can win. We're going to lose. We're not going to be successful. قَالَ الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أنهم ملاقوا الله. Those who knew that they will meet Allah, you know what they said? كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله. How many small groups beat bigger groups with the permission of Allah? It's not the numbers that matter. When people ask me, they say, how can you gauge a successful event? I said, it's not about the numbers. You can have 100,000 and that event can be failed. And you can have one person in your lecture and that lecture could be a success. It's about what they take back from it. What changes they bring into their life. Don't look at numbers. Today we see which sheikh has the most followers. The sheikh with the most followers, this one is on haqq. Oh, he has a tick mark. Facebook verifies him. Must be a true sheikh. Followers mean nothing. There were prophets who only had one follower, 2 followers. The Prophet ﷺ says, I saw Anbiya, prophets that they spent their whole life calling people to Allah and they had no ummati. Is that prophet a failure? No. Numbers don't constitute success. This is the capitalistic nature in us. If I have more square footage, a bigger house, I must be happier. If I have more money, I must be happier. So they try to, everything they can see is quantified. Square footage, home, wealth, quantified. Clothes, quantified. Happiness can't be quantified. You can't put a number to happiness. How many people have large homes, but empty homes? And how many people live and sleep under a tree, but they enjoy a better sleep in their home than you do in $1 million home? So you tell me who's rich now? The one who's sleeping under a tree, or the one who's sleeping on a Tempur-Pedic but is tossing and turning and spending thousands and thousands on medication and this lavender oil and this chamomile oil and that scent and that sound and this thing, trying to bring some sleep? Okay, we'll talk about that some other time. كم من فئة قليلة غلبت فئة كثيرة بإذن الله. How many small groups have beat larger groups with the permission of Allah? Wallahu ma'as sabirin. Allah is with the patient. وَلَمَّا بَرَزُوا لِجَالُوتَ وَجُنُودِهِ قَالُوا رَبَّنَا أَفْرِغْ عَلَيْنَا صَبْرًا وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا وَانصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. So now as Talut is going, he sees Dawood alayhi salam and a bunch of kids and their father who is a shepherd, and he sees them around and he says, why don't you guys come with me? Whoever wins is going to end up is going to get to marry my daughter. Whoever wins, and obviously Talut is the king, so his daughter is the princess. So now everybody hopped on. Oh yeah, why not? Dawood alayhi salam did too. And for those of you who don't know, Dawood alayhi salam had blue eyes and blonde hair. I read this 14 years ago in a book. He had blue eyes and blonde hair. So if someone asks you, was there any prophet with blue eyes and blonde hair? You can take Dawood alayhi salam's name. That's why majority of the Yahud have those features, because their children and their family that goes traces back to Dawood alayhi salam. However, the Yahud don't consider him a prophet. They consider him just a king. I've been to the grave of Dawood alayhi salam. They consider him just a king.
They don't consider him a prophet. Same thing with Sulaiman alayhi salam. And the strange thing is that I have been to the areas where many prophets were buried. Shu'aib alayhi salam, Dawood alayhi salam, Musa alayhi salam, the Prophet sallallahu alayhi salam, Nuh alayhi salam, Ibrahim alayhi salam, Ishaq alayhi salam, Yusuf alayhi salam, Sarah alayhi salam, Ribqa, the wife of Ishaq alayhi salam. And in that whole area, the one person whose grave I never heard about was Sulaiman alayhi salam. And he's the one person that's guaranteed buried there. And when the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam comes, I'll tell you why he's guaranteed buried over there. But there is no mention of the grave of Sulaiman alayhi salam. Even though authentically we know from the Quran he is buried there. Allah knows. Remember one thing, no prophet's grave there is a guarantee for besides Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There is a high possibility that in Madian, this is the grave of Shu'aib alayhi salam. The weekends is light days, right? Story time on weekends. Give some stories to you all. I went to Madian. Madian is right next to the border. It was midnight. And we went up a mountain. And we had a flight in a few hours. So, honestly, we should have waited till the morning and not disturbed the person that was sleeping. But we said to them that we did mashwara and we said, may Allah forgive us. And we knocked on the door of the masjid. And one of the most beautiful people walked out. This young man, it was as if it was midnight, but it was as if a moon came out of that masjid. Allah al-Azim. The nur on that young man's face was unbelievable. And we said, look, we've just come from Palestine. And he says, yeah. He said, the grave of Shu'aib alayhi salam is here. And he said, my family has been the custodian for this grave for centuries. And then I said, let me ask you a question. I said, how authentic are these graves? And then he told me, he said, I saw Shu'aib alayhi salam in my dream twice. The young man is saying this. He said the first time was when there was a huge flood that was happening. And Shu'aib alayhi salam, before the flood, he came into my dream and he told me, create a proper protection around the grave. A flood is about to happen. And the second dream he told me, I remember, if I remember correctly, he said Shu'aib alayhi salam had a staff or something. And I don't remember the rest of the dream, so I don't want to misquote it. It was many years ago. When I say many, many years ago, not as old as I make myself seem like. I say that stuff to throw you off my scent. Someone asked me, how old are you? So I'm not telling you. Imam Malik rahmatullah alayhi never gave his age out. Why? Because then you undermine me. If you find out if my age, that's why I don't give my age out. And then one kid comes to me and said, Mufti sahab, the people at the Plano administration masjid, they know your age. I said, of course they know my age. They have to have my passport copy for a background check. He said, so technically if I work at the masjid, I will know your age. I said, yeah, you're going a little too extreme. Like that guy, Pate Murdan Kase Banaye Jayenge Mere Ke. Going too far. So then he took us there. And then he said something. He said that he believes that the graves of Lut alayhi salam and Musa alayhi salam are authentic as well. And then he had dalil for it. He said, number one, for Musa alayhi salam, when the Prophet was going on Mi'raj, what did he say? Ra'aytu Musa yusalli inda tihi al-ahmar. I saw Musa praying on a red mountain. In his grave in a red mountain. And the grave of Musa alayhi salam is on a red mountain. The strange thing is that the Yahud don't accept that as the grave of Musa alayhi salam. That's strange. So that one area, the graves of Ibrahim alayhi salam, they do accept it. And Ishaq and Yusuf alayhi salam, they accept it. But the grave of Musa alayhi salam, they don't accept it. And then he said about Qawm Lut, that in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, what's your Hafiz, right? What's the ayat? Qawm Lut bi ba'id, with Madian, or something bi ba'id. Any other Hafizes here? Or Hafizes? Half of the Quran. No? There was a Hafiz in South Africa, Mufti Bacha. He became Hafiz at the age of 7. Alim at the age of 15. Scholar, full-fledged, first of his class. Sheikh Sudais gave him $200 because at the age of 9, he was answering any 5th question Sheikh Sudais gave to him. Man was brilliant. You could give him any hadith in the 6 books, he'll tell you which book, which chapter were remarkable. Now obviously he didn't have them memorized, but he knew where it was mentioned. I don't want to give a false pretense that he had them. He had Bukhari, he had a lot of, his memory was remarkable. And his father was a scholar and also a construction worker, and he also had an amazing memory. You could show him any wall and he'll tell you how many bricks are needed. So Mufti Bacha, where did I bring his story? He had a remarkable skill. You have Qur'ans over here. Qur'ans have different formats. There's one Qur'an that is a 13-liner format. There's 13 lines in it. Every page doesn't end with an ayah. Because the idea is that you can just continue memorizing without struggling. What's on the next page? What's on the next page? You don't struggle with that. That young man, I have tested him myself. You can open any page in the Qur'an and just, wallahi al-azim, just say the last word. Wallahi, just say the last word. He will tell you what juz it's in, what surah it's in, and what ruku it's in. Wallahi, I thought he was cheating. I thought someone was telling him until I didn't test him in hadith, because then I knew that I was in a lower year and I tested him from Bukhari, and my classmates hadn't done Bukhari yet. I had studied it with someone before. I had studied Bukhari a total of 4 times in my life. Most scholars only do it 1 time, but I studied Bukhari 4 times. So I asked him a hadith, and when he was able to point it out, then I knew he was real. And I thought there was maybe a Bluetooth, I don't know. I had all these theories in my mind that he might have a chip in his head or something. That this man was a computer, amazing person. May Allah bless him and put barakah in his life. How do I get to this memory thing? There was something else I was saying before that. The Bluetooth. Oh yeah, your Quran. I've done work on your Quran. No, mashallah, you read good. You're Khubayb, right? The guy who parked in my spot. I have a picture of your car. I told his friend, I said, let me find him. You're parked in my spot? I said, I'm not Imam Azhar and Shaykh Arsala like this. I don't know, it's okay. May Allah reward you. I will find you. Everyone has 2 called Jamal and Jalal. You can find Jamal in Imam Azhar and Shaykh Arsala. With me you'll get Jalal. Wah halwa hai ya danda hai. فَهَزَمُوهُمْ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. So when they saw Jalut's army, they made a dua, and you should memorize this dua. This is a dua to create patience and sabr in a person. They said, رَبَّنَا أَفْرِغْ عَلَيْنَا صَبْرًا. Oh Allah, pour patience on us. Remember one thing, never ask for sabr alone. Because if you ask and do dua that Allah make me patient, that means give me a calamity so that I can be patient in it. That's why never ask for sabr. However, say, Ya Allah, when a calamity hits me, give me sabr. And make me steadfast when it hits me. Don't ask to be sabir. And naming your children sabir, these are not good names. There was one man, his name was Hazan. And he came to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, Ghayyar ismat. Hazan means sadness. Change your name. Your name has an effect on you. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I like my name. Sayyid bin Musayyib, who was the famous tabi'i. He says he was my great-great-grandfather. He was my grandfather, great-grandfather. For 7 generations, our family was afflicted with depression. There was one young boy, he was very attached to his mother. Couldn't let his mom go. He was like 10 years old, 12, but just stuck to his mother. They went to one of my friends, and he said, what's the boy's name? They said, Mahad. He said, Mahad means someone in a cradle. Change his name. They changed it. A little while later, there was a difference in the child. Names have an effect. Well, what do? Mufti Sahab, aisa naam dena. Give us such a name, Mufti Sahab, that nobody ever has used. Maulana Makki Sahab says, to name your child Shaitan and Firaun. It's in the Quran and no one has named their child Shaitan or Firaun. But nowadays, Mufti Sahab, we want an Islamic name with a hint of non-Islam to it.
We want something that on the Muslims it seems mashallah, but with the non-Muslims as well we can go off, you know. And then my friend Azhar Usman, he says very beautifully. He says Haris Patel turns into Harry Potter. Kaleem Chaudhary to clam chowder. Ajib. رَبَّنَا أَفْرِغْ عَلَيْنَا صَبْرًا. Oh Allah, pour sabr on us. Afriq, pour sabr on us. They're about to face, we don't have the ability to handle. Sometimes when it's very difficult, especially when you feel someone passes away around you, you make this dua, أَفْرِغْ عَلَيْنَا صَبْرًا. Oh Allah, pour it on us. وَثَبِّتْ أَقْدَامَنَا. And make our feet steadfast. وَانصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ. And help us against those who disobey you and all those who are wretched. दश्त दरिया भी ना छोड़ा हमने, बहरे ज़ुलुमात में दौड़ा लिए घोड़े हमने, दी आज़ाने कभी यूरोप की कलीसों में और कभी अफ्रीका के तपते हुए सहराओं में. The poet says very beautifully, we have battled. The previous ummahs battled on land. The ummah of Rasulullah ﷺ battled even on sea. There is a story of Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas where his horse galloped over the water. Inshallah, some other time I'll tell you this. I want to wrap up in the next 5 minutes or so. Weekends are a bit tiring. So inshallah, on weekends we'll do it a little less and then give some time for Q&A for you all, inshallah. وَانصُرْنَا عَلَى الْقَوْمِ الْكَافِرِينَ فَهَزَمُوهُمْ بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. He defeated them with the permission of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَقَتَلَ دَاوُودُ جَالُوتَ وَآتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْمُلْكَ. Dawood killed Jalut. With what? He had some stones. Allahu Akbar. Shot the stone like a bullet. The first person to shoot a bullet is Dawood alayhi salam. Shot a bullet, went straight, hit Jalut, and this huge guy in armor pierced him, and he fell down and he died. When they saw their warrior die, because back in the day what they would do is they would have this warrior in the army, and that would be they would have few one-on-one matches, and then the main army would go in, because the strongest man, he's the one who's motivating them the most. Now when this biggest guy falls down, then the rest of the army loses their hope. So they smashed them and they destroyed them. وَآتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْمُلْكَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. Allah gave Dawood alayhi salam kingdom. Dawood alayhi salam went on to become a king, and he was a Nabi. He was the second Nabi and king, like officially. One was Yusuf alayhi salam. Some say he wasn't a king, but he was Khaza'in. Some say Musa alayhi salam was the king, but he wasn't really a king. But Dawood alayhi salam was an official king by Allah's standards. That Allah called him a king. وَآتَاهُ اللَّهُ الْمُلْكَ وَالْحِكْمَةِ. And he had many miracles. He was the first person to invent chain mill. Remember one thing, many things that you see today are inventions of prophets. Idris alayhi salam was the one to invent a pen. All the scent and ether and all the fragrances you see in the world today come from the leaves that Adam alayhi salam covered himself when his clothes disappeared and Allah sent him to the dunya. Those leaves were so fragrant that he took them, he buried them, he took some seeds and he buried them, and all the scent that you see in the dunya from the time of Adam till now stem from the scents of Jannah. All of these things have roots to them. Isa alayhi salam was the first one to do LASIK surgery. You know LASIK? Give eyesight. Over here, they from glasses, they make you no glasses. He made you from no eyes to eyes. وَعَلَّمَهُ مِمَّا يَشَاءُ. And Allah taught him whatever Allah desired. وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسَ بَعْضَهُمْ بِبَعْضٍ لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضُ وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. Thanos was not completely wrong. Thanos? Endgame? Yes. Thanos? Snapping. What was Thanos' reason for snapping? In Infinity War, not in Endgame. No. Why? Why in Infinity War did he want to end the world? Anyone from the girl side? Why? No, he gave a reason to Gamora, a specific reason. No, that was the reason Endgame.
No, that was endgame. Infinity War is a different reason. What is it? Why? Why is there too many people? There was a lack of resources. And his planet Titan, right? From Titan, right? His planet Titan, he said that there was limits of resources, and there was hunger, and there were these things. So he says that the snapping is going to reduce the population so that there will be an abundance of food and wealth. But what happens if half the population goes? People in key positions are gone. For those of you who don't understand what I'm saying, this is specifically for the youth. Sometimes you know how my Urdu is specifically for everyone that speaks Urdu. Now I'm turning and whatever it is, sami'na wa ata'na, inshallah. So anyway, the point is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala here is saying, at times Allah creates scenarios that He puts some countries on top, some countries on bottom, gives strength to some, give weaknesses to some. Because if one group of people always had strength, they would become arrogant and they will lose faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the Muslims always had strength, then they would forget all the bounties of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and all the things that we have. Look at it. We have so much wealth and comfort, and how ungrateful are we? If there wasn't Islamophobia, we wouldn't be as activists as we are today. That's the reality. If it wasn't for those things, certain actions happen through the hikmah of Allah because they have an end result that is supposed to materialize, which has a bigger image to it. Anyway, Allah says, وَلَوْلَا دَفْعُ اللَّهِ النَّاسِ. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala didn't use people that once some of them push others and push them back and they afflict one another, لَفَسَدَتِ الْأَرْضِ. There would be corruption on earth. وَلَكِنَّ اللَّهَ ذُو فَضْلٍ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. But Allah has bounties on this. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that is bountiful for the people. تِلْكَ آيَاتُ اللَّهِ. These are the ayats and the signs of Allah. نَتْلُوهَا عَلَيْكَ بِالْحَقِّ. We recite it upon you with truth. وَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And you are from the prophets. So inshallah every day we're going to end around this time, give some time for Q&A. On the weekends we do class after Dhuhr, and on the weekdays we do class from 11:45 to 1:45. So if anyone has any questions, you can ask inshallah. So Musa alayhi salam's grave is about 15-20 minutes from the border, the Jordanian border. So while you are going to Masjid al-Aqsa, Jerusalem, his grave comes in between. You should go to Palestine. Everyone should go to Palestine. I've had the opportunity of going 3 times. My mother's been there so many times. In our home, every one of our children, they're born, we take them for Umrah, Hajj, Palestine. Even the small 2-year-olds. Sufyan said, they've all been, right? Fatima hasn't? Sufyan did, no? Sufyan has as well. The little 1, 2 small ones haven't been. But besides that, all the others, their parents take them to Masjid al-Aqsa, Umrah, Haram, first places. Bring the love of those things into their hearts. Inshallah. Why not? Allah lets you in or out. That's it. Yeah, every place there have their own challenges, but we are going to pray salah for the sake of Allah, and we're going coming back. That is it. So, what's the worst that's going to happen? They're going to turn you back. It's okay. But you miss 100% of the shots you never take. So if you never go, that's why I always encourage. And to be honest, it's easier for older people than younger people. Elder people. Younger people is a bit more difficult. Elder is very easy. Has anyone been here to Aqsa? One brother. Worth it or not? It's one of the most remarkable places I've been to. The water in Aqsa tastes like Zamzam. And it's a place where 124,000 prophets stood and prayed, where the feet of 124,000 prophets stepped. When you go into Aqsa, it's like you're being transported 500 years before. Makkah, Medina is great, don't get me wrong, amazing. But it just feels like you're in a glorified New York City with a Kaaba in between. In Aqsa, it's like you see the archers' holes where they used to defend the city, the 500-year-old wall, the Ottoman wall built around Aqsa, going and caving through those little alleys and those steps and stones and walking through. Oh, the feeling is surreal. The feeling is remarkable. Seeing people sell, little children running around, homes and people living, and then you realize that your one bedroom is a house for 15 in another country. Your bedroom is a house for 15. And then you realize shukr. You realize shukr. There was a girl. She's yay high. Beautiful blonde hair, greenish bluish eyes. And it was after Isha Salah. And she came up to me and she said, shekel, shekel. Shekel is the currency there. She said, shekel, shekel. So I got into my knees. So I was on the same level as her. And I put my hand on her shoulder. And I said, my daughter, through you flows the blood of Sahaba and Anbiya. I'm a nobody. My forefathers accepted Islam. Your forefathers were the Anbiya because of whom my forefathers accepted Islam. I said, I'm not deserving of a person that someone like you of such honor asks me, like, it's not deserving of your value and your honor. And then I told her a story. I narrated this to you all a few days ago. I said, Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar, the grandson of Umar bin al-Khattab, was doing tawaf around the Kaaba. And we were right outside Masjid al-Aqsa, between the Dome of the Rock and Masjid al-Aqsa. There's actually 5 masajid there, not one masjid. There's 5 masajid. And together they're Masjid al-Aqsa, not one or the other. That whole area is called Haram. There's Masjid al-Aqsa Qadim, Jadid, Qubbat al-Sakhra, Idafat Abdul Malik bin Marwan, and Masjid al-Buraq. Buraq is like really small, it's like a closet. But it's nevertheless still a Muslim masjid. So I'm sitting between the 2 masjids. I'm on my knees and my hand is on this little girl's shoulder. And I'm telling her, I'm saying, my dear daughter, Salim bin Abdullah bin Umar, just like you are a grandchild of Sahabas and Prophets, he was a grandchild of Sayyidina Umar bin al-Khattab radiallahu anhu. He was doing tawaf around the Kaaba. And he was a great scholar, very well renowned, very known. Everybody wanted to get to know him. And the Khalifa, the king at that time, was doing tawaf as well. And he saw there was a huge group of people behind Salim. So he said, Man hadha ar-rajul? Who's this man? And they said, Hadha Salim. Is Salim? Oh, the Sheikh. I said, yeah. So he went to him. Imagine the king is coming to you. Imagine Trump is coming to you. I don't know. That was a great imagination, but whatever. When someone says Zayd is like a lion, they don't mean he's walking on all 4s and he has a mane. It just means that in bravery. When you draw a metaphor, you draw it only in one aspect. So when I'm drawing Trump's metaphor, I'm doing it in the sense of power and wealth. That's it. That is the rule of balagha, the rule of metaphors and rhetoric. When someone says Zayd is like a lion, it means he's brave. It doesn't mean Zayd is walking around on his hands and his feet, and you're like, oh, you said he was like a lion. No, I know, but I meant the bravery aspect. So imagine the president comes and tells you, or Jeff, or Mark, they come and they say, what do you want? Anything you want. What can I get for you? So the Khalifa asked Salim bin Abdullah while he was doing tawaf. To the left is the Kaaba, to the right is the Khalifa. He said, Hal turidu min shay? Can I get you anything? He looked at him. He looked at the Kaaba. He looked at him. He looked at the Kaaba. And he said, Afi baytillah ila ghayrillah. He said, Afi baytillah, in the house of Allah, you want me to ask someone other than Allah? The man stayed quiet. and you walked outside. Those days, the ulama didn't care what you had. There wasn't diplomacy. People come to us, you should be diplomatic. No one has to say it. There was one scholar, he was sitting down, and his feet were stretched out. And the Khalifa came. Now obviously, most of the scholars and imams were given pension by the Khalifa. Khalifa came, and people like, in the position, they like that, Hazrat, Hato, Basho, that little bit of, respect, and that, we call it Hato, Basho, right? Hazrat is coming, this big guy is coming, move a little bit, This man didn't move at all, didn't it? The man, how people get, when they have egos, they get angry. I want him removed, I want him dead immediately. Nowadays they fire, those days they killed. He said, I want him killed immediately. They said, calm down. He's the imam. If you kill this sheikh over here, all of the students are going to come and rebel. You're going to have a problem running. He said, okay, fine. Khalas, this is a big scholar. Here's a bunch of gold. Give it to him. When the gold came, he said, take it back. Hell, the Khalifa said, my feet were hurting the other day. I had knee problems. My quads. He says, no. Take it away. Now the Khalifa felt insulted. And the Khalifa said, I will have his head by the night. And they said, listen, he must have a reason. He said, I want his head tonight. They said, listen, let's talk to him and figure out why he did what he did. So they went and they asked him, why did you keep your feet stretched out? You disrespected him. And then later on when he gave you a gift, you didn't accept his gift. He said, الذي يمد رجلاه لا يمد يداه والذي يمد يداه لا يمد رجلاه. He said, the one who spreads his feet doesn't spread his hands, and the one who spreads his hands doesn't spread his feet. الذي يمد رجلاه, the one who spreads his feet doesn't spread his hands. والذي يمد يداه لا يمد رجلاه, and the one who's going to spread his hands in front of you won't spread his feet. So the Khalifa stood outside, and he was waiting outside the haram, because he told them, not inside the house of Allah. People say, I'm in the masjid. Talk about business outside the masjid. So then the brother's waiting outside. No brother, I don't do business in the masjid. But in the parking lot of the masjid, definitely. So now, he's standing outside. And he says, now we're not in the masjid. Hal turidu min shay? Can I get you anything? He said, Amin umur ad-deen, o min umur ad-dunya. He said, are you going to help me in the matters of deen or dunya? He said, Sheikh, you're a Mufti. How can I help you in the matters of deen? Today we say, no, of course I can Google very well. Of course, Sheikh, I can help you. What do you mean? Yeah. There is an adab of objecting to scholars. I Googled it, I didn't find it on Google, that is not the etiquette. The etiquette, if you don't understand something or you want evidence, is Sheikh, I would like to read it, I would like to benefit from it, I would like to read the Prophet's words as well. Can you also share something from that you have learned? So that I may also experience the same hadith you've experienced. This is the adab that Musa a.s. gave Khidr. تُعَلِّمُنِي مِمَّا عِلِّمْ هَلْ أَتَّبِعُكَ عَلَى مِمَّا تُعَلِّمُ. What is it? هَلْ أَتَّبِعُكَ مِمَّا تُعَلِّمُنِي رُشْدًا. Can I accompany you so that you can give me a little bit of knowledge from what you have been given? So he said, Sheikh, you are the Mufti, how can I give you knowledge? I'm the man of the dunya. Today the man of the mimbar is the man of the dunya as well. And the man of the dunya is also the man of the mimbar. I can't tell apart. I see the brother selling cars or doing some other business outside, or mashallah, a doctor in the hospital, then I also see him on the mimbar. I'm like, okay. And then I see the brother in the mimbar as well, and I also see him, mashallah, loving and lavish the dunya, and the dunya, we want the dunya, we want the dunya. Today we are living in a time of fitna. Neither the one on the mimbar has the heart of the mimbar, and neither the one on the dunya has the heart of the dunya. Anyway, he said, I'm the man of the dunya. Ask me and I'll give you from the dunya.
He said, Wallahi ma sa'altu alladhi yamlikuhu qattu, fakayfa as'alu alladhi la yamlikuhu. He said, Wallahi, I have never asked the one who owns the dunya for the dunya. How can I ask the one who doesn't own the dunya? He said, I never asked the one who owns the dunya for the dunya. Who are you? You don't even own the dunya. Telling the Khalifa that. So I told his girl, I said, my daughter, Afi Baytillah, in the house, in the vicinity of Allah, ila ghayrillah. And she heard the story. When I finished, she listened, and her brother listened with respect the entire story. As you can tell, I don't do short stories. In one story, I go to like 3 other stories, and come out advertisements, previews for the other stories. She listened, and at the end of it, she said, shekel, shekel. And my heart was shattered. My heart was shattered. Who am I? Go visit. You have the ability to go one day. Go with your family. Death is going to come regardless of where it is. We are feared of death. It'll come anywhere. You can come on the road. You see accidents all the time. You say, well, I'm not going to drive anymore. People die of food poisoning. I'm not going to eat anymore. Jazakallah khair. Inshallah, tomorrow we will continue. For those who don't know, every weekend after Dhuhr we will have class, and on weekdays between 11:45 to 1:45. This coming Friday we have a girls' lock-in, meaning that this masjid will be specifically for the youth girls. And on Saturday we have a boys' lock-in, specifically for the boys. Inshallah, I will be there for the boys, and Lina Magdad will be there for the girls. So please do come and bring your children. Inshallah, jazakallah khair. And should be registered as well. You should have to register. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.